Okay, this is something that would be familiar to people living in the northeast of England. I want to talk about the Tyne Metro. To those of you who don't know, it's a transit system linking the cities of Sunderland and Newcastle upon Tyne in northeast England and the towns around that. It's been in operation, at least including the Sunderland extension, for 10 years. I think it goes back to the early 80s from the original line. Has 60 stations. It's quite a busy system. I think the second busiest in the UK actually, in terms of numbers of stations and so on. And it caters for a population of over 1 million people, so it's a pretty busy system. But there, I think, is a widespread consensus that this is a really poor service, or at least there's far too many problems for it to be a sort of sufficient level. Now, this is, I want to say something. I don't regard myself as a whinger. I don't regard myself as someone who's always complaining about things. I try to be open-minded, and I try to recognise that, okay, it is a busy system, we're going to have some problems. I understand that. But I had an experience recently, and this is, believe me, it's just the tip of a very long range of problems I've experienced. So, I went to buy my ticket, and dodgy ticket machine, it kept spitting out the change. By the time I finally got the ticket, I had missed my train. That meant I missed my meeting in Newcastle, or at least I was late for the meeting. But honestly, it's the same difference because it inconveniences the journey. Now, I went through the official channels. I sent an official complaint form. I asked if I could be compensated for that, because I'm not a rich man these days, and the metro fares are not that cheap. So I think it's only fair that if my journey is inconvenienced, I get some sort of reimbursement. They phoned me up yesterday and they apologised, but they refused to give me compensation on the grounds that I still made the journey. Now, my logic is this: if as a customer you don't pay the fare, if for example you travel and you don't pay the fare, you'll be fined £20 for that. The ticket is from Sunderland to Newcastle for a day return. I believe it's £4.50. If you don't pay that, you get a £20 fine. And what they used to do is name and shame passengers. They've stopped doing that now, but they used to name and shame passengers. So they have a very heavy hand for those who don't pay the fare. And okay, people should pay the fare. It's civic responsibility. I understand that. But as a public service, surely they have a responsibility as well to offer us reimbursement if they can inconvenience us. So people not paying their fare inconveniences the metro. Their bad services inconveniences the customer, but their attitude is, oh well, you still travelled, so we're not going to pay you back. Now, to me, that's a disgraceful attitude. I think paying customers have a right to expect a reasonable response, and the sheer number of delays, missed trains, failed trains as they call it, on the Tyne Metro is just not good enough. To be fair, they do have something called Meet the Manager sessions, which are meetings to bring up these issues, and they try to get that on a relatively regular basis, although I think they should have an online format for that as well, because not everyone can easily make it to the meetings, and ironically, people might not get to the meetings because of failed trains. I'm not saying the system is terrible. I'm not saying it's the worst in the world or something like that. Of course it's not. But the point is, we are a developed country, and with the fares that people are paying, I think it's reasonable to expect a better service. I don't think this is whinging. I think it's reasonable. Some passengers, they have something online, Tyne Metro, where they do give regular updates about delays and so on. And there are some passengers who say, oh, to the people who are complaining, just travel some other way. But they don't understand that for many people, the metro is the only option they have, or the most convenient option, because getting a bus might be out of the way or more expensive. I don't know, but for that's a stupid attitude to take. Oh, don't complain. Now, I've said with if people criticise politicians, they should be open-minded. Well, it's the same principle here. I'm criticising the metro. I'm trying to be open-minded. I recognise they can't be perfect. Okay, I understand that. I understand they can't be perfect, but I think it is reasonable that if people are inconvenienced by a public service, they should get some sort of reimbursement. Because what bugs me is at Newcastle Central, they have an army of ticket inspectors. They have all these people making sure that you've paid your ticket. So they have no problem with that. They're very, very efficient when it comes to that. And yet they're not efficient when it comes to basic customer care. And it pisses me off. I'm not saying it's the worst in the world, but just for people living in the northeast of England, I think there is a general consensus that this is a service that really needs to improve. And they make excuses like, well, we're currently in a refurbishment program, but those sort of excuses have been going on for years. So really, I would like to see improvement. And just in case any official from Tyne Metro is watching this, I'm not being petulant and sort of making this without going through the official channels. I have been through the official channels. I've written complaint letters. I've done it the official way, and I was not happy with the responses. So I'm sorry, but as a paying customer, this is the resort I'm taking it online. A few months ago there was someone campaigning for a vote of no confidence. That is not an ideal situation, because probably it will create more disturbances on the system. But the way I see it, London Underground is a much busier system. I think it's got 11 lines. The Tyne Metro has, I think it's 2 lines, maybe 3. But the point is, it is nowhere near as busy a system, and yet proportionally speaking, the Tyne Metro seems to encounter far more problems. So clearly, at the very least, they should improve their attitude to customers. Let me know your thoughts if you live in the northeast of England. And just once again, I don't see this as just mindless ranting and mindless sort of whinging. I think if people pay their fare, it is reasonable to expect a reasonable service.